Port Byron Alumni Association is very honored to recognize the life legacy of Stephen Douglas Gutchess and his wife Sarah Adelaide Armstrong. Both were graduates of the Port Byron Free Academy. Together, they both founded several business colleges. Stephen graduated with the class of 1882. He was born about 1861 in the state of Michigan, moving to Port Byron with his family when he was a young child. He was the son of James and Deborah Brooks Gutchess. If you were to follow him after graduating from the academy, you would find him as the principal of the commercial department at the Long Island Business College located in Brooklyn. Many of you recognize the Gutchess surname and immediately think of the Gutchess mincemeat factory here in Port Byron. And Stephen is a member of that family, but very few people remember that Stephen was the senior partner of Gutchess Brothers Mincemeat when it formed in 1896. The same year, he would serve as the president of the Port Byron Alumni Association. And in the year 1900, he sold back his 50% interest in the mincemeat factory back to his brother Hubert for the cost of $1. His wife, Sarah Adelaide Armstrong, graduated with the class of 1879. She liked to be called Addie. She was born locally here in Port Byron in the year 1862. She was the daughter of Niram and Sarah Williams Armstrong. And if you were to follow her career after graduating from the academy, you would find her as the assistant principal in Sioux City, Iowa. She would give up that job to return to Port Byron, where she was on staff at the Port Byron Free Academy. I'd like to talk briefly about the career roles of women for this time period. Many women who graduated from the Free Academy had careers, but very few retired from their careers and actually carried out their careers for the duration of their working life. Women often had two events that would happen that would stop their career in a heartbeat. The first being marriage, and the second being the illness of a parent. Many of our graduates, especially the females, would give up their careers when those two things happened. Addie was very fortunate that the love of her life, Stephen Gutchess, shared a similar career path as herself, which opened doors for her. Stephen and Addie married here in Port Byron on June 19, 1889. That was the beginning of their parallel journey together, but they wouldn't stay in Port Byron very long. It would be their careers that would draw them away. Stephen was asked to invest and become a partner with John Carnell in the Albany Business College, located at North Pearl Street in Albany. These are some of the vintage ads that they put out, illustrating the type of classes that they offered, anywhere from bookkeeping, shorthand, to stenographers. So it was a pretty well-rounded program. They also published a lot of books. Most of the books that they published were used within their own college. However, they also published materials for other writers, and this particular work is one of the more popular ones that they originally were the first publishers of. In 1892, Carnell and Gutchess published the book by Ben Pittman. That's his photograph on the right. And that book was called The New Practical Shorthand Manual. This book has been published time and time again by various publishing companies all the way up to 2018. And it's kind of nice to know that our Port Byron graduate was one of the original publishers of a book that is still being published today. Stephen also has an artifact that I found at an auctioneer's website in Manchester, New Hampshire. It appeared in a listing in 2014, and this picture on the left of the pocket watch actually belonged to Stephen Gutchess. This is a photograph of the mechanisms inside the pocket watch, and you'll notice that it says made for S.D. Gutchess. That would lead me to be inclined to think that this was presented to him. Unfortunately, we do not know by whom or what the circumstances were on how he acquired this pocket watch. But to find any artifact of a graduate from the Port Byron Free Academy and memorabilia that still exists today that graduate owned and had in his hand is very rare. So I wanted to include that because it really is a treat to see an artifact from one of our graduates. Stephen would sell back his interest to the Albany Business College back to John Carnell, and in later years that college would get absorbed by another little college that we know today as Bryan and Stratton. When they left Albany, they moved to Detroit, Michigan, and Stephen and Addie formed their first business college together, known as the Gutchess Business College. It was also known as the Metropolitan Business College, and they opened their doors on September 20th, 1897. The building on the left is the location of the Gutchess College in Detroit. They occupied an entire floor of this building. On the right is one of the advertisements, and Stephen Gutchess really hits it on the nail to say there's nothing like experience. Even today, there really is nothing like experience. And his advertisements honed in on, you attend Gutchess College and you're going to have really good experience and do well. You'll notice on the middle section where it says faculty, Stephen's at the top, and in the middle it says Sarah A. Gutchess. So not only did Addie get the chance to support her husband in this endeavor, but she was also employed and a teacher at the same time as Stephen in the school. Thanks to Ancestry.com, they had a yearbook of the Gutchess Business College in Detroit, Michigan, and it gives us a glimpse of the inside of the building, which is very, very rare. On the upper left is the principal's office. I recognize Stephen from other photographs I've seen of him. That is him sitting in the chair. I just can't say for sure if that's Addie sitting next to him, but it could be, but I wouldn't, bank on it. The lower picture is the reception room attached to the principal's office, and notice the beautiful hardwoods that are in these rooms. Very, very pretty building. This room was the Gutchess College City Bank. Here, students would actually get to practice being bankers of America. This booth, they could go in and actually practice transactions of making deposits, withdrawals, and it gave them real-life experience before going out into the business world and starting their careers. Here are some inside pictures of some of the classrooms for the shorthand in the commercial department. Notice the size of these classes. These were very well attended, very large classes, so very, very successful business college. But it wasn't all about coursework and studying. You could also have a little recreation. If you wanted, you could join the college orchestra. Or you could join the Gutchess College baseball team. So it was a pretty well-rounded experience for those that enrolled. It was about 1905 that the Gutchess College in Detroit merged with the Detroit Business University. Today, that university is known as the Detroit Business Institute, and today it's a medical training school. So while it still exists, it's not at all a business school anymore. It's strictly for medical training. After they left Michigan, Addie and Stephen move on to Connecticut. And this time they were successors. They purchased an existing business college known as Brown's Business College on Canton Street in Bridgeport. And notice, again, very well thought out ads saying if you're in need of a stenographer or a bookkeeper for an entry clerk, there's no charge. So they really put themselves in the community to make sure that people could appreciate the level of expertise that their students would acquire. The Connecticut Business School, after Stephen passed away, it was purchased by an Ernest Butler and renamed the Butler Business School. And that school was purchased by the Academic Enterprise Incorporated in 1999, and it closed its doors for good in the year 2012. I'd like to take a quick look at the chronology of Addie's life. In the 1890s, Addie wrote her will, and at that time she bequeathed $300 to the Port Byron Free Academy Library. In 1909, while they were living in Michigan, she actually graduated with a degree in literature from Michigan University. Sadly, in 1916, her only son Ralph would pass away in Connecticut. In 1922, Addie would accept a teaching position at the Bridgeport High School in the public school system. So not only was she an assistant principal in Connecticut, she was teaching in the public schools at the same time. So that was quite the responsibility. She had to be very, very devoted to education in general. Unfortunately, in 1925, she would lose her husband, Stephen. But in 1941, Addie would come to Port Byron, and she actually attended one of our alumni banquets. The newspaper article mentioned that she was the oldest alumni in attendance, and when she spoke to her fellow students, she had a quote that she was referenced as saying that read, "There are two kinds of humans. They are infants as long as they can learn. After that, they are old fogies. When I reach the latter classification, you may scratch me off your roll." Addie was a very educated, very well thought and composed woman, and a person that I very much have come to love and admire, and I hope you will as well. I was very impressed with what Stephen and Addie had accomplished together in their careers. Here's a picture of Addie on her 90th birthday that appeared in the newspaper in Connecticut. She was waiting for guests to come greet her to wish her a happy birthday. Again, Addie was very well educated throughout her lifetime. She serves as a role model for lifelong learning. She attended graduate classes from universities such as Cunningham, Yale, and Cornell, all the way through the age of 68. In 1933, Addie finally retires as an educator at the age of 71. Sadly, in 1957, Addie passed away. And in 1959, the $300 that she left to the Port Byron Free Academy Library, which couldn't be dispersed because the school burned down, and then the school after that burned down, and the current school, by the time it was dispersed, was the Port Byron Central School, and they accepted that gift in 1959. But it wasn't until 1963 that the school purchased 300 books with the gift for our library, and what a very thoughtful thing to do. That is why the Port Byron Alumni Association is very, very honored to recognize the first husband and wife duo to graduate from the Port Byron Free Academy. They serve as models for lifelong learning, something that we teach our students today, and we're very pleased to give them the second Pioneer Award, and we give it to Stephen Douglas Gutchess and his wife, Sarah Adelaide Addie Armstrong Gutchess. Thank you.